Hello, this is Colin Thompson, and first of all, thank you for taking the time to download and watch this video. Today, we're going to talk about 5 key tips, 5 tips to help you bring trust back into the work environment. Now, if you ever worked in an environment with low trust, you understand how frustrating, demoralizing, and quite frankly, how painful that could be. Well, don't worry. Today together, we'll take a trip. 5 tips to rebuilding trust in the workplace. This is a very, very personal topic for me because I've had the fortune or maybe misfortune of working in some very positive, trusting environments. But like most of you, I've also had the misfortune of working in some environments that lacked trust. And it's very different. It was, quite frankly, painful. So as leaders, a question for you. In your experience, in your opinion, what do you think is the main driver that really destroys trust in a team? Now, there are many different leader actions. There are many different leader actions that can destroy trust in a team. What is the top leader action that destroys trust? Perhaps you feel it is lack of loyalty, where the leader is ready to throw the team or anybody else under the bus, and the leader never takes accountability for their mistakes. That's a big one. Perhaps in your experience, lies of omission. Ooh, this one hurts. This one hurts, and it's hard to get past this one. The leader knowingly withholds key information from the team for selfish reasons. I gotta tell you guys, this is a big one. Perhaps in your experience though, you think it's not either of these 3. It's failure to walk the talk, where the leader talks about culture, talks about trust, but he displays no trust or corporate culture in his actions. He talks the talk, but doesn't walk the walk. So put your hands up. If you said that it is lack of loyalty, lies of omission, or even failure to walk the talk, I gotta tell you, you're all wrong. You're all wrong. Well, I shouldn't say you're wrong. You're just not as correct. In my experience, the number one contributor, the number one action, a leader can do to contribute to this trust environment, micromanagement. Micromanagement. And so many leaders micromanage. And micromanage really is a nickname for saying, I don't trust you. I just don't trust you. When leaders micromanage, typically they're focused on the outcomes. The metrics are more important than the employees. And due to this, management feels a need to make sure that they are involved in all key decisions. Not even key decisions, all little decisions. They must be involved because they want to make sure things are being done right. Second guessing and challenging. Second guessing team members and challenging their work. And finally, they want to be CC'd on a lot of different emails. Wow, I've been here. And I gotta say that it's very important to, what I would say, bring that trust back into the environment. But talking about trust, and it goes back to the last one, not walking the talk. Trust, how do you bring back trust in an environment that's just been lacking trust for a long time? You can't talk about it. Here's the thing for today. Words don't bring trust. Actions do. We're going to talk about this a lot. Words don't bring trust. Action brings trust. Forbes magazine held a survey several years ago. And the survey was conducted, and the question was, what's it like working in a very high trust environment? They found a few things. The employees in a high trust environment were 106% more energized. Now, you let me be 25% more energized, I'll be good. 106% more energized in a high trust environment. 76% more engaged, and 74% less stressed. Now, of these top 3, what stands out to me is less stressed, because stress leads to health issues. 74% less stressed in a high trust environment. More energized, more engaged, less stressed, and ultimately 29% better life satisfaction. This tells you that the work environment is tied very closely to your life. The work environment really has implications on how you live your life outside of work. So it's very, very key that we do everything we can to create a trusted work environment for our teams. But of course, if these are the positive aspects of a high trust environment, we must talk about what so many of us are facing and going through, even today, as employees and as leaders, being in those low trust environments. So low trust environments, and I gotta say, in low trust environments, there's still appreciation for each other, but there's not much trust. And trust is needed above appreciation because trust says several things that we'll get to later on in this presentation. So in low trust environments, you always have three things. Always have three things. Lying, hiding, and faking. Always. You cannot avoid lying, hiding, and faking in a low trust environment. Lying about not being lost. Lying about not knowing how to do the work. You don't trust your manager enough to tell him you're lost. You're going to lie about it. You're also going to hide mistakes. Hide the fact that you need help or additional training. Because if fair, if you tell them that you made a mistake, you might not get a bonus, you might get let go because you feel insecure in a low trust environment. And then finally, faking. Acting like you're happy and acting like you know exactly what you're doing. Lying, hiding, and faking are very common in low trust environments. So put your hand up. Of course, I can't see you with your hand up, but bear with me. Put your hand up if you've experienced any of these in a low trust environment. Lying, hiding, and faking. If you have, then you can appreciate the tremendous need, or if you have, you understand how it feels to go to work every day in this environment. Rest assured, I'm going to give you, again, 5 easy tips, 5 quick tips to help you turn this around. So, many years ago, I was very fortunate to get not just a management position, because I was already a manager, but a management position for a new young team in Shenzhen, China. The team was energized. They were young, they were energized, they were hungry, they were young, they were ready to work, they were young. I keep saying they were young because in my mind, young meant inexperienced, which meant that I needed to really make sure that as a new team, we did what? We hit the ground running and we hit our targets. Why? Everybody was looking at us. Who is this young foreigner coming here as a manager, managing this new team? That's very important to the company. So of course, as a young manager with a new team that was very young, I felt I had to do what? Have my hands on everything. I started asking for reviews, doubting what they were saying. I started really making sure that I was involved in almost every activity in the team. Why? And to me, it wasn't because I didn't trust them. It was because I just wanted to make sure everything was correct. But of course, that's not how it was seen by my team. And very quickly, I could tell that the team was not happy. I could see they were frustrated. They were getting what? They're getting detached from the work, and they weren't really having a good time. Now, luckily, a very good friend of mine, who to this day is one of my closest friends, Michael. Michael is a very honest guy, very straightforward. And I remember one day, we went to lunch. He was on my team also. We went to lunch. I said, Michael, what is the problem with this team? I remember this very clearly. Michael looked at me and said, Colin, the team is fine. The problem is you. I said, what? He goes, yeah, you. It's very clear you don't trust us because you micromanage everything we do. You say you don't, but you do. Everything we do, you question. I said, Mike, it's only because I want to make sure we're producing good stuff. If we produce good stuff, we'll look good. Michael was so honest. Michael shook his head and goes, Colin, you just don't get it. You always talk to us about trust. You always talk to us about doing the right thing, but you don't do it yourself. So why on earth would we work hard for you? Wow. Wow. And maybe because Michael was so honest is why we're good friends to this day. And I remember it so clearly because that night I went home, sat on my couch, and really told myself, maybe Mike has something there because it can't always be them, right? It can't always be them. Again, right? Not taking accountability, right? It can't always be their fault. And I decided that I needed to immediately make a change. And as leaders, you must also too. The moment you realize your team is lacking trust, don't wait till it gets worse. Ask yourself, what can you do right now to take care of your team? Take care of your team, right? Take care of your team, which means each and every person in that team. Wow. It's hard for me to imagine supporting the entire team at one time. So what I said was, let me take care of one person at a time. And let me put the focus on the individual. The individual gets the focus, not the outcome, not the metrics, not the measurements, not the final end of the month total. The individual gets the focus. And this is so important. So important. Because what I learned was, as leaders, what you'll learn also is, if you take care of the individual will take care of you. And that's so important. So how do you do this? How do you go from focusing on the wrong things to focusing on the individual? I'm going to give you a very simple solution. Schedule recurring one-on-ones. Every week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you determine the frequency based on each individual, but set up recurring one-on-ones. And not just to have meetings where you talk to them about what they're doing good and bad. No, no. You want to make sure you're learning and connecting with your employee. Not your team, with your employee, with that individual in front of you. And you want to learn several things, but there are 3 things in my experience as leaders you must learn. Now, the goal again, learn 3 things. The first thing you must learn what drives them as individuals. You must have genuine curiosity. You must want to know about them. Not how they are at work. What motivates them? What drives them as individuals? What are their experiences? This is very important because it shows that you are curious about them outside of work. You also want to understand what do they need to succeed in their role. Now this is a very interesting one because this shows you have compassion. You care about their future. Be patient though, because these 3 things you're going to learn, you're not going to learn day one. It takes time. Question number 2, they may say they're fine. Why? Because they're lying, hiding, and faking. Lying, hiding, and faking. And it takes time to change that behavior. So be patient with number 2. Number 3 takes vulnerability on your side. You must be vulnerable. Now I remember the first time I asked this question to my team, to individuals, I was so nervous. Me, the big manager, was so nervous to the answer. What do they need in order to trust you? What do your team members need in order to trust you? And what this acknowledges is right now, we might not have trust. We didn't say, what do you need to continue trusting me? What do you need to trust me, to build that trust? You must be vulnerable, and you must accept what they're saying. Now, what they tell you, as long as it is reasonable, you need to take action. You need to take action and do what you can to do what? Help them trust you. You need to take action. It's very important to take action. Okay, so tip number 1, the individual gets the focus, not the business. Anytime you're meeting with them, one-on-ones, you want to start learning. These 3 items here, it may take you 3-4 months to learn these things. But if you are consistent, they will know that you are coming to them out of sincerity because you want to change the environment. You want to do what? You want to start trusting. Okay, so I want to move on to tip number 2. And tip number 2 also comes from an experience I had when I first became a manager. And I remember I was, in my late 20s. I was fired up. Yeah, they promoted me, manager. I'm no longer here with you guys. I'm on top now, right? I now manage people. I felt big. I felt excited. I knew for a fact, I was going to be the best manager in the company. Actually, the best manager in the world. That's how I was thinking. And I believe that too. I remember sitting in our first management training, and they brought in a manager that we all respected. She'd been with the company for probably 20 years, very powerful and very nice, quite frankly. So here she is in a room full of hungry meat-eating managers who are ready to go. I remember what she said. She said, do not develop personal relationships with your team or teammates, because one day you might have to give them a poor rating and you might have to fire them, and you don't want it to be personal. Made sense to me, right? Why make it personal? It's business, not personal, as people say. It's business, not personal. It's business, not personal. I find that now to be very, very funny. But like almost every other manager in that room, we believed that. And for the next few years, it was business, not personal. Meaning, I was about business. I was about the bottom line. I wasn't about connecting with my team. I was about the bottom line. And I remember also in Shenzhen, China, when I was managing that team and not doing a good job, I remember seeing other teams have such close feelings for each other. Managers, leaders, and teams were all on the same level. And let me first tell you about the city of Shenzhen. The city of Shenzhen, China is in South China. It's about 40 years old, which means when I was there, it was about 30 years old. It also means that most people in the city weren't born there. Shenzhen, China has approximately 20 million people. Of that 20 million people, maybe 20% were born in Shenzhen. That means that the vast majority of people working there migrated there from other cities. What that means is the vast majority of people there working there are not working or living with childhood friends, high school friends, college friends. This means that most people who are leaving the city for the first time didn't come to Shenzhen knowing a single soul. So naturally, they spent time with each other in work and outside of work. And that helped them establish a tremendous bond. I remember I would ask some other team members, hey, what's your plan for the weekend? Oh, our team together is going out of town for a weekend vacation. Or our team tonight is going together for KTV. Or our team this weekend is going to the park. It was always our team. And not just the team members, but the managers also. I'm not gonna lie, I was envious because I wouldn't even ask my team what they're doing for the weekend. And here these teams are spending so much time together. Now this time, Michael had already given me the feedback, and I was already trying to work on bringing trust in my team. And I sat down and watched for a few weeks, watched how the other teams interacted. And I realized a few things about teams that have a personal relationship. The deeper the relationship, the harder the entire team works to be high performers. We all know in organizations, those who get cut are typically the ones who aren't performing at a high level. Managers sometimes have no choice. It's based on performance. Teams work harder to ensure their team members are performing at a higher level, asking each other, how can we help you increase performance? They want to make sure that if cuts do come, they're on the top. The more comfortable team members are with sharing the skill gaps and needs. Again, the deeper the relationship, the more comfortable team members are in being vulnerable and saying, I need help in this area. And in environments where you have high trust, And deep relationships, if you say, I don't know how to do this, everybody swarms on you and helps you build up that skill. And then finally, as a leader, the deeper the relationship, the more aware the leader is of the needs of the entire team. And the leader can then focus on ensuring each individual is given the best opportunity to what? To be special, to soar, and to be a high performer. Teams that are happy perform at a higher level. So I had decided I needed to really take action. Not just words, we talked about actions, not words. What could I do to really develop a relationship with my team? Well, I decided I needed to lean in and build relationships with my team. Now this one, I want to do at a team level. So my team can see me trying collectively to connect with all of them at the same time. And there are several ways to do this. So here comes a very easy way to implement team number 2. Think about the opportunities you have to interact with the team. And make it a habit to walk, I call it to walk the halls. Walk the halls and ask team members casual questions. And an easy casual question is, how was your weekend? Anything exciting? When you add that last piece, anything exciting, it forces them to share just a little bit more. We walk by each other, how you doing? Fine. But if you say, how you doing? Anything exciting? Well, actually, yes. It causes people to pause and have a conversation. How was the week? Listen and follow up. Stand there. Use your active listening skills. And when they're finished, ask a follow-up question. Maybe something simple as, wow, are your weekends always that fun? Or wow, did your family enjoy that? Ask that follow-up question because now you're having a conversation. And that's how you slowly, learn more about team members and start building a relationship. Another question, and I love this question. This question is like a hidden litmus test, a hidden test, right? Is there anything that you need? Initially, your team member, again, lying, hiding, faking, may say, no, I'm fine. Keep asking, and not keep asking what they need, keep asking, how was your weekend? How are things going? Who's your favorite team? Ask those questions, and then sneak this one in. By the way, is there anything you need? Is there anything I can do for you? And I guarantee you, after a few weeks, they'll say, you know what, actually there is. Wow, the door is opening. Put your foot in that door. And how do you put your foot in the door? By delivering. If it's possible, deliver on what they need. Again, it's not about you. It's about what they need. Deliver on what they need, and you'll find that relationships with the team are starting to grow. And if one team member sees you trying, they usually encourage the other stubborn members to also try to develop those relationships. So tip number 2, lean in and build relationships. Now, as we go to the next tip, tip number 3. Earlier I asked you, what are the top leader trait or action that causes a lack of trust in the team? So some of you had good ideas. They were wrong, right, but good ideas. I said, in my experience, micromanaging is one of the heaviest burdens to a team. Now, when you micromanage, as we talked about, the team is not happy. There is no trust. And managers typically micromanage because they do not trust the output of what the team member is producing. They don't trust their skill level to complete their job. So the manager must be involved. And of course we know this leads to, yes, lying, hiding, and faking. But in this environment, in addition to lying, hiding, and faking, I can guarantee you that there are a few things that are lacking and missing. Absence of shared ideas. No opportunity to share ideas. The benefit of having a diverse team is diversity of ideas. But if you can't share your ideas, how are you contributing? How do you feel about not being able to contribute? How do you feel about sharing ideas and getting them rejected? Absence of shared ideas. Also, absence of shared learning. When you're in an environment where there's low trust, once you learn a new skill, you want to hold that in because it gives you an advantage over somebody else. You don't want to share your learning. You want to share your learning. And finally, absence of opinions. One of the I would say the best traits of being in a diverse team is being able to share opinions. Not being able to share opinions, not being able to have shared learning, and not being able to have shared ideas really put you and your team into a downward spiral. A downward spiral that you must have the skills and actually the knowledge on how to prevent. Because as we know, downward spiraling teams don't last. Performance goes down and changes are made. So I was very, very concerned, and I learned that I needed to, again, take more action and really do things to help my team trust me. My team trusts me. You hear that? To help my team trust me. Well, I was wrong. I cannot do anything to help my team trust me. And as leaders, you can't do anything to help your team trust you either until you're ready. Before you can gain trust, you must first give trust. Before you can gain trust, you must first give trust. Before I expect my team to trust me, I must first trust my team. Now remember, I was a micromanager. I wasn't trying to build relationships. So what can I do to change that? Well, the third tip, and for a lot of us, this is a little difficult because this one takes us to, again, be vulnerable, but not need to be right. Ask for ideas and opinions. Ask for ideas and opinions. Remember, when you're in an environment of low trust, people aren't sharing. People aren't giving opinions. People aren't giving ideas, usually because the manager, the leader, smacks them down and says, I don't like it. It might not work. Well, it's not about always working. It's about trying. Giving them the opportunity to try different things. Letting them be innovative. Letting them put forth their ideas. So how do you do that? Again, number 3, ask for ideas and opinions. I'm going to give you, again, a very easy way to introduce this and to try this on your own. There are several different areas or times that you can interact with your team members. And each time you interact is an opportunity to get their opinion, get their ideas, and make them feel like you really value them actually. During one-on-ones, status meetings, ask them questions. What's your idea on this? What do you think about this? Get their input. Show them that you value their input. One of the best concepts that management came up with a few years ago was having an open door policy. Open door policy. Literally, it means having your door open. People can see in, and more importantly, people can come in. Open door policies really help push communication, feedback, and it really does a lot to build trust. Why? Because an open door policy means an employee can come in, have a conversation with you about anything with no fear of retribution. They can go in there, complain about this policy, go in there, complain about their life, whatever. As a leader, you support them and no retribution. Really, you use your active listening skills again. You listen, and listen. When they do give you feedback, now, when you ask, be careful, when you ask for ideas and opinions, over time, you're going to get them. And you have to act upon them. Again, a theme for today is you must take action. When your employee shares with you their ideas, their opinions, now some may seem crazy, but some you have to put into action. Even if you don't fully, right? Even if you don't fully agree with it, if you don't fully understand it, put your trust, right? Trust, put your trust in the employee and go for it. Ask for ideas and opinions. This will go far to helping you start building those relationships with your team and showing them that you do trust them. One of my most challenging team coaching experiences came a few years ago. I remember it like it was yesterday because it was one of the first coaching experiences where, quite frankly, I did not add value. I was asked to help a team of salespeople regain their ranking. There's a team that for 5 years running was the number one ranked sales team in their business unit. But now they were in the bottom third. So they brought me in to help find out what was wrong and coach them through getting back to being number one. So I remember, as most team coaches do, the first thing you want to do is create a safe place for the team members and the leader to talk openly. Now, it took us a few weeks, but we're starting to actually peel the onion back and talk about a few things that were important to the team. But I could tell that there was something really, really big that nobody wanted to talk about. Now, as a coach, it's not my job to push, right? We want them to push the topics out, not us pull it out. So I was very patient, and one day out of the blue, the manager stood up and said, "Okay, Colin, here's what happened." I was like, wow, what's he about to say? I got so excited. As a coach, I shouldn't get excited, but I got excited because I knew there was something big coming. He said, "Here's what happened. For years, we had the number one sales team. I think it was 5 years running. We were all very proud of that. Everybody in the company knew who we were, and they were envious of us. And the reason we worked so hard is because we knew two things. Regardless of how the entire business unit performed, as long as we met our quota in sales, we were guaranteed our bonus, and we were guaranteed to keep our jobs for at least another year. If the company had employee cuts, we would not be part of that. So we worked hard for years and years and years to get the number one ranking." Now, one year, in the fourth quarter, overnight, they changed the policy. And they said, it all depends on the BU's quota, not the team. Which meant that no matter if the team met our quota, we might not get a bonus, and we might not also be safe from job cuts. I did not tell my team. I did not tell my team because, quite frankly, I feared they would not work so hard because we all knew the BU was not going to reach the quota. So if they don't reach the quota, why should we? I was selfish because I still wanted us to have the number one ranking, but I felt if I told my team, they would not work hard. Wow. First of all, I was very thankful he shared that. And I felt this is going to really be a tough job because we talked about different ways that leaders destroy trust. This is a big one. Lies of omission. Again, the leader knowingly withholds key information from the team for selfish reasons. As the manager said, he wanted to keep the number one ranking. That was what was most important to him, the number one ranking. He may not have considered what was most important for his team. So I knew right then and there, it was going to be a very, very, very tough coaching experience. But I was up to it. I was up to the challenge. In the next meeting, as we're talking about what took place and the manager not being totally honest, one of their more senior salespeople said, "You know, Colin, the problem is, for years and years and years, we were also very proud of being number one. Number one was very important to us. And we trusted each other to know that we would do everything we could to maintain the number one ranking. When we found out that we would not get a bonus, we found out that our jobs may not be safe, we weren't happy. But it didn't really bother us as much because we were still number one. What bothered us was our manager didn't tell us. That really, really bothered us. And from that day, the trust was gone. from that day, people started looking for new jobs. Instead of working hard for new sales, people were working hard on the resume. And even now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm trying to find a new job. Wow, you know what? I love the honesty. And I said to myself, this team is starting to get closer because now they're doing what? They're talking about their feelings. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to help the team because 3 weeks later, half the salespeople were gone and the manager got fired. But I wanted to take a lesson from this. I asked myself, Colin, one, how could that have been avoided? And two, how could a team rebuild trust after that takes place? And luckily, the answer for both these questions is the same thing. As leaders, we have a responsibility to our team members to make sure that we are being transparent as much as we can. We must make sure that no matter what, ensure the team is well informed. Allow them to make decisions based on the real situation. Allow them and treat them like they are adults and peers and can decide. As the employee said, they were still proud to be number one, and they would have still worked hard to be number one. What happened about no bonus and no job station didn't bother them. What bothered them was the manager not being honest. So again, what can we do to ensure the team is well informed? Share all information. Share the good information, share the bad information. Try to go a little deeper and don't just share corporate results. Try to share information that you think is relevant directly to your team and give them the opportunity to be empowered and make best decisions that what? Impact their livelihoods, that impact their families. If you empower them and give them the information, you'll be surprised what decisions they'll make. And a lot of times, these decisions are best for the team. So now, as we come to tip number 5, before we go to tip number 5, let's just take a look at these 4. I promised you 5 easy tips to put in place. And if you look at each of these, I don't think any of these are really difficult. Now, you might have to step out of your comfort zone. You might be vulnerable, you might be nervous, but they're not hard to do. The first one, the individual gets the focus. Put the focus not on the results, on the individual. The second one, lean in and build those deep relationships with your team members. Lean in and build those relationships. And then, number 3, ask for ideas and opinions. And oh, by the way, act on them. Ask for ideas and opinions and act on them. Allow them to bring innovation to your team. And 4, ensure the team is really well informed. Don't be scared that they'll act poorly if they get certain information. They're adults. They know how to deal with good information and bad information. So now we're going to come to tip number 5. And tip number 5, to me, encompasses all 4 of these. Naturally, I'm going to say it's the most important one. Well, all of these are equally important. But tip number 5 is really the most strategic one, the most important one for a leader. Now, as a leader, based on your experience, again, raise your hand if you have noticed that if you have an employee that has good work ethic, a trustworthy employee who comes into a terrible work environment, what happens over time? A trustworthy employee who is in a non-trusted environment over time also becomes a non-trustworthy employee. He picks up the habits of the team. And why? It's the environment. One individual versus the environment. Who do you think is going to win? It's the environment. But work environment truths. Trustworthy and low trust environment equals low trust. These are work environment truths. You can say work environment facts. These are facts. The good thing, though, is the opposite also holds true. If you have an employee that displays sometimes untrustworthy behavior, and you bring him into a trusted environment where it's seeping with trust, seeping with good communication, again, over time, what happens? Over time, that employee turns into a trustworthy employee because that green, happy environment is stronger than the individual. Low trust and high trust environment equals high trust. So we talked about how important in all of this the environment is. The environment, the environment, and the environment. So who is responsible for the environment? Who? You're correct. We are, you are, I am, the leaders. The leaders are responsible for the environment. I like to say, the leaders do what? The leaders must set the tone. The leaders are the ones who, based on how they act, the team will follow. The leaders must not just lead by example, the leaders must what? Be the example. Number 5, be the example. Be the example. You set the tone. What you do reflects and mirrors and drips down to every person on your team. If you have a habit of going to meetings late, canceling meetings, not really paying attention, not being involved, they will also. You must reflect high standards, and the same standards that you expect from them, you must reflect yourself. You must do what? You must walk the talk. And quite frankly, you need to have a higher set of standards than your team members do. Again, you must be the example. And of course, one of the biggest factors of being an example, walking the talk, and being the example is you absolutely must be accountable for your bad behavior. You must take the blame when you make a mistake. And when you make a mistake, apologize to the individual and to the team. Be the example. Okay, so now we have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have these 5 easy to implement, easy to use tips on how to bring trust back to the workplace. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to go over them again. You got this. My question to each and every one of you leaders, if you're still watching this video, that means you care. That means you want to make a change in your team. I have a very simple question. As we're at the big finish, I hope my big finish will lead to a small, immediate change in your behavior. So my question, what adjustment are you ready to immediately take? Not think about. Think about one adjustment you're ready to take now. I just gave you 5 examples. You can implement any one at any time. What adjustment are you ready to take right now? I got to tell you, when you take these adjustments, things happen. Commit yourself to creating an environment where trust means, if you have a trusted environment, that means that you, the leader, have their back. It means that you, the leader, support them. It means that you, the leader, listen and know their story. And finally, it means that you, the leader, and the team have relationships. You, the leader, and the team have relationships. I want to really offer you my good luck. I want to offer you my energy. I want to offer you my 5 tips on how you can bring trust back to the work environment. Thank you very much. I'm Colin Thompson. It's been my pleasure to share this information with you. Thank you, and I'll see you again later. Bye-bye.